was built to last. With the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past. With all I'm achieving, got my foot on gas. Never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game.
Hey y'all, what's up party people? It's Megan! Hey y'all, so for real, I'm sitting down in my chair in my room because I have to get back to this type of style of videos for me. That's not to say that the prophetic flow is being turned off. I do still feel like I received the title for this prophetically, all of that, but it's just more so of a let's sit down and talk like y'all are my friends. Yes, I do release words like this, usually the heavier ones, but I haven't sat down in front of my camera in a very long time. And if I'm being honest, it feels different than when I'm just like on my phone, like real quick, like let me give y'all a word, versus like, okay, I'm really finna sit down on the camera and talk. And so there's a shift, you know, on the channel. There's a shift in me, in my life, hence all these new words that came out today. It was time to release them. This one is called Eternal Sunshine, and it's so funny because I would hear this song, and if you don't know, it's a song called Eternal Sunshine by Janae Aiko. I would hear this song and I would like cry. Part of it is because like I knew I had made it through some different things in life, but also part of it was like really longing to feel like, you know, how she's talking about in the song. And so earlier today on the community post, I was telling y'all like I had went to testify. I had typed out this whole thing and then I went to go Google the quote from Optimus, right, which I didn't even find. And then when I tried to come back and put it in what I had typed, so all these people outside when I'm recording, when I came back to put it inside of what I had typed, everything that I had typed had deleted. Now, I know YouTube like to act funky when you trying to be great and talk about God. However, I had copied and pasted it just in case. Do y'all know that when I went to go paste it in, what I had typed wasn't in there no more? So I was like, okay, God, like, I'm not gonna trip. I'm just gonna assume that you wanted me to do this video style, which is cool because some of the new content was always video style, but I mean like this type of video style, because some of the new content is just gonna require me to be able to come in and sit like, hey y'all, for real, like, what's up, let's talk. And so that happened this morning. I might be able to keep this under 15 minutes. Y'all know usually when I'm like this, I'm like, gotta keep it under 15 minutes so I can do a direct upload, but now that's not the case because there's a shift on the channel, and so regardless I'm gonna have to play with it a little bit. So let's just talk about it. It's more so like a little bit of a testimony, like I had said, but also I think it's important stuff in here. So I tried to take notes because I could barely remember what I had typed after it had went away. I was like, are you serious? So earlier I was telling y'all, like, I was trying to tell y'all, I was like, y'all, I'm very emotional today and I can feel a release coming. And then when I typed everything out, I ultimately ended up crying. I was like, see, I felt it. I knew it was coming. I text all my friends, let them know how much I love them, let them know how much I appreciated them being here for me throughout all of the seasons. And I think for me, a huge part of that was just, I already testified the other day and it was more so of a prophetic type of testimony. I'm not saying this one isn't, but this one is really like if I were to be talking to one of my friends or something, right? When I look back, like I remember all of my painful moments, but I'm in a place in my life now to where I look back and even though the moment was painful, I don't feel the pain. And so in talking about it, if I get emotional, if I cry, it's out of thankfulness, right? Because it's been a healing process. It's been a journey. And even in saying that, like, and it doesn't stop. Like even the other day, something had triggered me a bit and I was like, dang, like I thought I was good. And it's okay if you have moments like that and you're not. And so for me, I talked about this on the Life of Mimo channel, I think, but I don't think I've ever really talked about it on this channel. And this is important to me because it was somebody who was speaking about it happening to them that actually led me to try to get healed from it, to start getting healed from it, right? And for me in 2019, 2020, I'm gonna start talking about a whole lot of stuff, but part of why I was having such a hard time in and I was fighting so much in that counterfeit relationship, I was being so triggered by the road trips that I was taking to St. Louis. The reason being is because to get to St. Louis from Huntsville, the way I went, I had to drive through Clarksville. When we were younger, and before I start saying on this, like, if I cry, it's really not because I'm not okay. It's just because, you know, like, it's an experience. And I also want to interject real quick. I thank my parents, because when I had first talked to them about it, and that was like step one, right? I was so worried because I felt like God was saying I was gonna have to tell my story, and I didn't want it to be a thing to where like it made my parents look bad. And so I understand that some of y'all might be watching this, whether you've already dealt with it, you need to deal with it if it's something you've experienced. I know that's something that plagues me in dealing with it, because it was like I never wanted to talk to my parents about it. I never wanted to like help other people dealing with it, because I never wanted to look like my parents was horrible parents because it happened to me. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was one of those things where it was like, well, I guess I'll just take it to the grave. But it was literally killing me inside, like killing me, and pouring out into like every area of my life. Now, this ain't all the just like, y'all know I talk to y'all all the time about the different stuff I've been through, but this is what he wanted me to talk to today, the specific part of my story today. So let me just keep talking. I had to drive through Clarksville to get to where I was going for work for St. Louis, and I told y'all I was getting speeding tickets and everything during that time, because it was like I was dealing with that. I spied with that boy. I found out he was cheated, and then I was also dealing with all this stuff inside of me. Like, literally every time I would drive through Clarksville, I would just break down crying, like every single time. I was like, this is not gonna work, like, you know. And so when we were younger, we were stationed there, and it kind of goes back to what I had said in the Scared of Love video. Like, people think because like your parents are together, your parents are in your life, like you somehow avoid having to carry your own cross. You don't. It's different struggles that come with different things, and that's what, like, we can't compare each other's traumas and crosses and stuff. Like, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. Anyways, my dad was in the military, and we lived there when I was younger, and I was sexually abused by the son of the people who babysat me. Okay, and that's one of my first memories in my whole life. Like, and I struggled with that, because it was like such a heavy memory, you know. Like, don't nobody want that to be their first memory in life. And I'm able to remember things from when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and that's the first thing I remember in life. And I remember just, it caused me to be, as much as I knew my daddy loves me, it really made me like, I didn't trust him. I did not trust my brother. I felt like they didn't have my back ultimately. I felt like they didn't see me. They didn't hear me, because in my little kid mind, even when I got older, it was like, how y'all let that happen to me? That's why I never wanted to talk about it, because I never want them to look like bad people or like negligent, because that was never the case. But he was always gone because he was in the military, right? And even now, like when I tell you I got triggered the other day, when I feel like my daddy is not listening to me, it takes me back to that, because it's like, hello. Now, back then when I was a child, I didn't know how to like articulate it, and so then as I got older, it made me even more mad, because it was like, why didn't you say something? Because it came to the point to where my parents were like, is something wrong with you? Like, did something happen? And I was never the kid who peed on herself or none of that. And so when I got older and I learned like, wow, all the signs was there and they missed it, you know, like I had only peed on myself a couple of times, and it was literally always after that interaction with that child. And then it was one of the things where like we would watch him sometimes too. And so I remember just desiring so badly for my parents to have known without me having to say nothing. And so that has affected my communication, everything in life, right? And so that's something that triggers me, and I have to be very mindful of that, right? I'm trying to see, like I said, it's me talking to y'all, but I'm still trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go with it. So I struggled with that. I fought with my older brother a lot, because I just felt like nobody had my back. And so I keep seeing this thing on Instagram, and it was like I've been pulling myself out of dark places since I was a child. I recognized that it wasn't me, but it was God, right? And so I feel like I learned at a very early age, like, he all you really can count on, even when you got amazing parents with great hearts who never let you spend the night nowhere, because my parents really ain't never played that. And so for me, it was kind of like one of those things where it was like a child did it. And so even when I got older, well, he was older than me, a child, but it was still like, it wasn't an adult, but it was an older boy, you know, being inappropriate with me. Now what I'm called to, I know that that is a demon, right? Like, I know that now, but when you're little, you don't know that. And even when you're little, the devil will tell you like it's your fault, or like they're not gonna believe you, or you shouldn't have been doing this and all this stuff. Like, the devil do that to a child. He does. And so look, I done lost my train of thought. I ain't never really like talked about it for real, but I could feel it, like when he was bringing it up, and I was like, it's not time to talk about that on the channel. He was like, yes it is. I was like, oh Jesus. So I struggled with just like communication, all of that. And all right, I played it back, and I don't think this is gonna be the eternal sunshine word. This just might be my experience with abuse, sexual abuse at that. I might not put sexual in the title, but okay, so let's keep going. Because of that, that is why I'm a control freak, like, or struggled with it, because it was like, if I'm not in control, something bad gonna happen, because I felt like I couldn't trust nobody that was supposed to be in charge. Like, I felt like that from a very young age. Like, I just know. Even in saying that, so it's a mixture of things, like the abuse, but also like with him being in the military and not being there. And that kind of goes back to some of the stuff I've been telling y'all. Like, I watched my mama hold it down my whole life, right? And he wasn't there. And so I don't want that for my kids. That's just, I don't want that. I don't want that, because I know what it did to me. I have something I gotta work on. Horrible separation anxiety. Horrible. I go through all the stages of it, like the tantrum, the just being angry, silent treatment. Like, your girl deal with all of that, because I hated that my daddy was always gone. I literally hated it. Like, me and my mom was talking about the other day, and that's like a whole separate struggle, like when you have a parent that's in the military. And she was like, I think that's why y'all like kind of get into it still now, because like the little girl in me literally would be so mad at me. They're so mad at him that he was gone. And so growing up, what really used to make me mad is because I've dealt with jealousy and stuff my whole life too. And so it was like, and it was never one of those things to where like, you know, like just tell people how bad you've actually had it. So it ain't never been that. And it was another thing that bothered me. Like, I remember when I did talk about it on the other channel, and a couple people who caught that, it was like, oh wow, like you're a human. Like, yeah, you treated me like crap like my whole life, and now you want to treat me like you don't do people. You never know what somebody has gone through. And so for us growing up, for us growing up, it was always Megan and Morgan got this, Megan and Morgan could do this, they got the latest this. But we literally had to grow up in the house without our daddy there all of the time. And he did love us, which is a whole different thing than if you have a parent and they're not there. But for us, it was always longing for him. Like, he do love us. We want him to be in the house all of the time. And none of that stuff, none of the new clothes and gadgets and all that, none of that mattered. None of that mattered. I wanted my daddy in the house. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted him there. You get what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother thing. Maybe this still will be the eternal sunshine. I don't know. We're gonna see. And so dealing with that, when I turned 15, my daddy was deployed to Afghanistan, and so I had to go to therapy because I was dealing with racism a whole lot at school. And so for me, it was like, I'm getting called the N-word at school, and my black daddy is risking his life for this country. I know you lying. So, and I've talked about that in my New Age testimony. It made me not want to believe in God, in a God that white people believed in. But I was so hurt by so many different things, right? Like, he could die any given day, and I'm getting called this at school. What? Like, I felt like I was always dealing with hatred in some way, form, or fashion. Now, my therapist loved him. He was great. I had to have a whole psyche eval because I would say during that time he was deployed to Afghanistan. That is when I met my twin flame, and I'm gonna talk about him more in the video specifically for twin flame counterfeits. And so I just kind of, I started clinging to him. I learned to do that at the age because my daddy wasn't here. And that's when I met him. That was, even at 15, like that is when the first time I remember struggling with depression and like suicidal thoughts. It was when my daddy was going to Afghanistan. But all the stuff that was going on at school, the relationship stuff, everything. So I actually had to go in and have like a psych eval because of the stuff that was going on at school, because it ended up being like this whole ordeal vindicated. I knew that to be true even back then. And during the psych eval, the counselor, he was like, I feel like you're hiding something from me. And I was like, what? Like, I ain't hiding nothing from you. And that was the first time I'd ever really dealt with the stuff from my childhood, because I had never had anybody to talk to. And him being a stranger and a counselor, it was kind of like, you know. And so I had let my twin flame know for the longest of time. Only my counselor knew. I did tell my mama. And that was a whole thing that my family had to deal with. Like, you know, because it was always this fear, like, I can't tell my daddy. Because I never wanted him to feel like he did a bad job with us. And when I finally did tell him, like, he was like, girl, tell your story. And because he know, like, you know, like, it ain't not like no negligence. Because my daddy will kill for me. I know that. But you got to tell your story. You got to know your truth in this life. You can't suppress it because of nobody. Okay, you can't. And like I said, mine is different because it was, you know, children and stuff. Like, I look back, do I wish my brother would have caught him? Yeah, because he was real sneaky with it. Like, he would always do it when my brother wasn't there. He taunted me. Like, he would never have done that for my brother, because my brother will also kill for me. Okay, and I wish I would have been more courageous, more bold, more like, I should have said something. And that's a part of why I do what I do now, because I don't know if a little kid gonna stumble across this and they're going through it. Now, I'm not no certified counselor. Let me throw that out there. All I can do is tell y'all my story, okay? Disclaimer. And my brother would have rocked his stuff had he knew. And so it was just like a whole thing. When he finally did get caught, it was his parents. And his parents, they made me feel like I did something wrong. Now, imagine being like a 4-year-old. And he was older than me. Like, he was not 4. He was older, like closer to my brother's age. And my brother was like, my brother is 8 years older than me. So if I'm 4, my brother is 12. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Old enough to get in trouble for it. And then how you blaming the toddler. Like, you get what I'm saying? So that was a whole thing. So my whole life, that kind of followed me. Like, it was my fault because they made me feel like it was my fault. But apparently they had said something to my parents. I didn't know all that until at the smooth age of 25. I basically called like a whole family meeting, like, no, we finna talk about it because Megan finna lose her mind. Like, I can't go through life like this. I can't, you know? And so I just keep going off on tangents. Help me, Lord. We're all human. We all go through different things. Sexual abuse, rape, molestation, whatever it is, may not be your story, but everybody goes through something different. And so even in me talking to my friends and stuff, the ones who do know, and it's like, yeah, I don't know how you dealt with that, because they've never dealt with that, but they deal with stuff that I look at them and I'm like, I don't know how you deal with that. Like, I wouldn't have survived it. And so that word I shared the other day with Journey with Jordan, anointed to survive, that's real. Like, I remember when I told one of my cousins, oh, I see where I got off on a tangent. For the longest time, only my mama knew, my therapist knew, and my twin flame knew for the longest, like for years. It wasn't until I turned 25, like 10 years later, that other people knew. Okay. And even with that, I got teased for being a prude, like in high school and in college. Like, she just thinks she's such a goody two shoes, when in actuality, so you can respond to sexual abuse different ways, right? It can make you like not like sex at all. It can make you overly like sex, right? And it was a third thing, can't remember what it is, but for me it was like, no. And so I just opened up to my kingdom spouse about this year. He never knew this. Like, when I tell you, I was always made fun of, like, oh, Megan thinks she's better than anybody else. Megan wasn't having sex because, yeah, I had the conviction to wait till marriage, but it was easy for me to have that conviction because when anybody would get to touching on me and stuff, I would go into like PTSD mode, like get nauseous, get really, really hot. And instead of it being like exciting or something, like it made me want to fight. And that's not normal, okay? I didn't like it. And I just told him that. He had no idea. Like this whole time you just thought, no, sis was out here like really fighting demons, okay? So, that's why you gotta walk in your truth. You gotta know your truth. Healing is like a everyday type of thing, okay? And so, one reason I clung to my twin flame a whole lot because of that, because he's the only one that knew. Fast forward, I dealt with bullying a lot in life. I got bullied by my cousins when I was little, to the point to where it was like sometimes I didn't like going over my grandma's house because it was like just time to pick on Megan, and I really hated that. Like, so mind you, I'm already a child dealing with the sexual abuse, don't have nobody to talk to, and just like dealing with that. And then I go through this series of bullying, right? Then I go through the series of bullying again, and then again, and just again. And it was like I had got to the point in my life to where the depression and stuff was just so heavy, like, and it's always like a root cause, right? Like it's always a way, a wound or something that stuff can jump in on you. The suicide, all that, even when I did end up losing my virginity, and just like the super regret I felt, right? Like so many different things. And so turned 25, I was like, something gotta give. Told my parents, boy did that set me free. And they knew how to pray for me moving forward, and I could talk to them about it. I could be like, you know, this is triggering me, because it was never one of those things, right? Started getting closer to God, and when he had me start praying for those parents, praying for that boy, that is so very like, I don't want to pray for him. I don't. But hard work is what I had prayed for, and it's not for them, it's for you. So I had to deal with that. I think another tangent I got off on, when I had finally told like one of my cousins, she was like, you don't act like nobody that happened to. So I know my life is like, I know God still somehow all on me, like he just in me. And she was like, most girls, they did this, they did this, they did this, and literally I was just the opposite. And if you do react, or you have reacted the opposite way, that puts a demon on you, that even if you're the one that's abused, it still put a demon on you. It's still a door. And so when I grew up, I had to learn how to like close it. Look, I was repenting, and it was like, God, I didn't do nothing though. You know, like I was attacked. I was the victim. And then I got to a point to where it made me really sad for him, because it's like, how can that be on you at that age? To like, that's so disgusting. Like, what was he being exposed to? What was his parents doing? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, because I think about it from multiple ways. Like, what if it was my 4-year-old? What if it was my 12-year-old? Like, what the, like, I was about to cuss, but I'm not. But y'all get what I'm saying? So, dealt with that. And look, the part I started tearing up on was, I know God is in me. I know I was anointed to survive. I know other people have had it worse. All of that. But this eternal sunshine. So I would say I carried that around for a long time. The bullying. And then I finally learned about Jezebel and all of that. And so, okay, let's hit on dealing with loss too. I think sometimes I don't even recognize what all I've been through. I I've already made a video. I told you my Platinum Pink journal was dedicated to my best friend who passed away. And for me, it was one of those things where I had to deal with so much regret. Y'all can really thank my nail tech for this video, because this is what we talked about when she was doing my nails. I had to live with so much regret, and I didn't want to like talk to her mom, talk to her sister. I didn't know how. Now, mind y'all, even if you cry when you talk about the different things, that don't mean you're not still getting healed and all that, okay? Like, you're a human, you have feelings. And I dealt with a lot of regret because I had missed one of her like last FaceTimes. And like, I still cry when like it's her birthday. I still cry when it's the anniversary of her death or anything like that. But I just felt like I didn't value her enough while she was here. Like, I even kept wanting to call her after she passed away. You can't do that. And I might hit on a part of that when I talk about the narcissistic counterfeit, because when I found out that she had passed away, I had tried to text her, and the messages, you know, I even got an iPhone, and like the messages delivered blue, they delivered green. And so I'm always very like, if that happens, I'm like, is your phone dead? Did you block me? Or like, and in my mind it automatically jumps to, oh my god, you died, like, because of that, right? And that's another triggering thing that I've had to work on. I felt like I didn't appreciate her. I took it for granted, and okay, I'm about to get on something else in a second. Around that time, she was telling me how she had started going to church, and she was like loving it and stuff. So this is all stuff prior to 2016 when I graduated from college. And I told y'all hell broke loose. I think the icing on the cake in my life was truly what happened between me and this man. And so I just didn't like God anymore. I always grew up in church. I knew he was. I knew who he was. I knew the word. Like, but it was, I ain't rocking with you, you know? So it's easy to go off in New Age. It was easy to, and what's crazy is I was teaching my babies at that time. Like, it was like, I want to teach them about you, but I don't want to fool with you, you know? All hell broke loose. I think this is why I cried earlier, because like, y'all can feel the heaviness of everything I talk about, right? That was icing on the cake for me. Went into a series of toxic relationships, toxic thinking, all of that. And in all of that, even just what I've shared this first like 30 minutes, I'm sorry, I know it could have been more organized. I had started off telling y'all, like, I remember the painful moments. Like, I remember hating certain things as it reminded me of the abuse, and it would just trigger me and nobody knew why. After my friend died, I think that's when I really started like trying to push all my friends away, because it was like, nah, it's like, you know, friends can die. I experienced a lot of death, actually. And I don't mean like older people. You know, when older people pass away, it's kind of like, you know, it makes sense. But the young people in my life that passed away, to include my best friend, it was kind of just hard. And I will never forget, like, running across campus, like, I couldn't see. I was crying so much. I remember people trying to like stop me, like, are you okay? And just being so depressed, like, just trying to make it through school. Like, all this happening. I am away from home. I'm getting bullied at school. My best friend just died. And then literally this other the man was like the icing on the cake. I was like, ooh, Jesus. So earlier I was just kind of just thinking about all that. And as I know I'm crying a little bit now, but it's truly because like I remember the painful moments. I have the flashbacks and I don't feel the pain. Like these tears aren't from so deep within, like sobbing type of tears. You get what I'm saying? I don't remember the pain. So when he does the supernatural surgeries, it's truly supernatural. Yeah, I miss her, you know. And I wish I would have did things differently, but it teaches me now how to appreciate my friends that I have now. Cause nobody know when they're gonna be going. As much as I hated God for allowing that to happen to me when I was a child, it was my assignment. And not that he's just some sick, twisted, you know, God. Evil gotta exist, but he knew that I would be one that he could trust at some point, because I ran away from him for so long, to talk about it and help other people, right? Even down to the relationships. Why that had to happen to me? And I recognize that our sin and stuff has consequences, you know, but some stuff in my life is just kind of like, I know I didn't deserve that, like, you know. And again, because he could trust me to talk about it and help other people. I don't remember the pain. Like, that's not why I'm crying. I just remember the girl that I used to be. I remember how she felt. And what he was showing me this morning with all the flashbacks, like, and all those moments where I thought, like, there's no way it could get better. He knew that it was gonna be better. Look, I realized I'm not even really looking at y'all. It's heavy. But he knew it was gonna be better. That's why I cry the way I do now. That's why I thank him the way that I do now, because I really didn't believe that it could. And I was just in such a place of just like, no joy, no nothing. Like the Walking Dead. And the way he has revived me. Nick Cannon, when he lost his baby, he was saying the miracle of strength. And I never thought about that. Never. Like, that is a miracle. I taught a lesson for church, and it was like the testimony is like how God continues to carry you. The testimony might not be that you was healed. The testimony might not be that he saved the person. The testimony might not be how you didn't have to go through it. But the testimony is that you did go through it. You did experience it. And he kept you. He's so faithful. I remember being at work and this girl was telling her testimony about sexual abuse from her stepfather. So So I know people have it worse than me. And I remember just watching the video like, how could she even talk about this? She teared up some, you know. And it was videos like that that gave me a little hope. Like, maybe one day, even though I was still struggling to believe it. But maybe one day. So for me to be at my one day, it just made me emotional. So, hold on. At this point, are we the party people or the crying people? But it's because of his faithfulness, I promise. So, I'm just going to read the rest of the lyrics of this song. And it's crazy because I wasn't listening to it when he started talking to me about all this morning. Like, I just thought about it in the midst of reflecting, and that's what I was telling y'all. So hold on, before I get into the song, what I had typed up was, I'm emotional, I can feel a release, and not in a bad way, but just like in a thank you God type of way, right? And most days I can't figure out what I'm most thankful for. Like, is it being restored back to the childlike faith? And the example I gave y'all was even in watching Transformers, I was laughing at something they was talking about, and I was like laughing so hysterically to the point to where I had told myself like, Megan, it's not that funny, but just finding joy in simple things again. That's how I knew I had started to heal, right? Because Mike Ty, like, he knew what he was doing with that sermon. Like, different things in life, they just like a blow to your faith, a blow to your belief in God and humanity. Like, and I know that to be a fact for me. Like, when I laid out on the floor and was like, God, show me, where I took hits, and I thought it was just gonna be the 3 things that I had showed him, and it was like 15 things, and I was like, what? Most of which are things I've already talked about on this video. Some days I don't know if it's that, like, just being back in a place where, like, I actually believe in goodness again. I actually believe that everybody not evil. I actually believe that God got me, right? That, or is it watching or seeing my dreams and visions in my heart and my mind manifest physically, like my journals and my books and stuff, and I'm able to hold them, like, much like a real baby, like seeing something come from spiritual to physical. Best friends who truly love me and have been there for me through all of my weirdness, like even when I was the problem, when I was pushing them away for whatever reason, like dealing with the spirit of rejection, all of that. Like, friends who truly love me, a best friend that I can do business with, a man that even though I've hurt him, he's hurt me, we both got our own demons to deal with, love still remains. Like, that's the love of my life, the love of my life. Like, God is all in that too. Is it because I'm so unconditionally loved and forgiven first and foremost by him, and then he has sent me people who do that for me? Is it because COVID hasn't touched me and my family, like, at all? Thank you, God. Like, there are so many things to be thankful for. It's because I'm looking at the miracle of restoration every day with my whole entire being, with my heart, my mind, my life, down to my relationship. I'm looking at the miracle of resurrection. He raised Megan from the dead. What is it? Because his hands is in all of it. He touches all of it. And all the stuff I've experienced. Like, I'm 27 years old, and I just tried to briefly walk y'all through, like, the heaviest parts of my life. All of those things I've experienced. And all I can sit up here today is tell y'all that he good and he faithful. That's all I got. Like, that's all I got. He's good and he's faithful. My story might not be your story. Your story might not be mine, but we serve the same God, okay? So, is it strange for me to say that if I were to die today, there's not a thing that I would change? I've lived well. Maybe I have made mistakes and been through my fair share of pain, but all in all, it's been okay. I've lived well. And the more that I see, the more that I know, I don't know anything at all. Like, the more that I breathe and start to go slow, oh, all the many things, I can only recall all of the good things. Of all the many things, I can only recall the good things. Only the good, only the good, only the good things. Like, she goes on and on. Like, when I tell you I used to listen to the song and just cry, like, living on Sycamore Street and spending weekends at the beach. So even though that was something that was horrific in my childhood, even though my daddy wasn't here for a lot of it, it felt like he missed birthdays, he missed cheer competitions. It's still birthdays. I remember him being here. It's still cheer competitions he was at. He's the reason I don't wear glasses anymore or stop wearing glasses. He came to one cheer competition. It was like, no ma'am, you look like a dork flyer with the glasses on, and it's not safe because what if you fall? And so he's the reason I actually ended up wearing contacts. All the trips he took us on, I recognize he made a lot of sacrifices, and one of the sacrifices was him just not being able to be there for us. So I never want anybody to think that it's like that I love my daddy, okay? I remember us laughing, playing games and stuff. I have good memories between me and my brother and sister and my cousins. In spite of all that, like, I can't harp on those things. I have good memories. Yes, it was times I didn't want to go over my grandmama's house, but it's also times and stuff that we laugh at about now. Like, you get what I'm saying? Of all of the many things, I can only recall the good things. And God has a supernatural way of, like, the only reason I'm talking about it now is because he wanted me to share my story some more. You get what I'm saying? But it ain't like every day I'm dealing with it. I'm not walking around wounded and bleeding no more. Whew. Living on Sycamore Street and spending weekends on the beach, we were free to be everything we dreamed, and getting back to a place where we thought all those things was lost, and they're not. Like, we are still free to be everything that we dreamed. Flying kites and water fights, summer nights, we'd ride our bikes on over hills and dare our heights. Man, I swear, the more that I see, the more that I know I don't know anything at all, and the more that I breathe and start to go slow, oh, all the many things, or of all the many things, I don't know if these lyrics is 100% right. I can only recall all of the good things, all of the good things, right? And I really just, I thank God. Like, I'm titling it Eternal Sun, S-O-N, Shine, because it's Jesus. It's Jesus. It's not Megan. It'll never be Megan. The only reason I'm here now, the only reason I can talk to you about all these things now, it's God. It's his strength. It's his grace. It's his courage. It's his spirit in me. It has nothing to do with me. Nothing. Nothing. Now, will I probably share more of my testimony in different ways moving forward? Probably, but because the channel is getting ready to take a different direction, but again, not in a crazy way, because I'm still going to always be able to, you know, do my prophetic words and stuff. But my sit down videos will probably be a little bit different. I told y'all earlier, like, it's time for me to go back now. Okay? And help other people come out of where I was at. It's going to be more story times, more get to know Megan without, like, every detail of her life, every intimate part of the prophetic dreams for me, but the message, right, is just a shift that's here. But because I have been doing this since September of 2020, well, because I'm gaining new subscribers, because I'm close to 1K, all of that, excuse me, I just felt like y'all deserve to know a little bit more about me, but not just that. God was telling me, right? That's my testimony. I'm only 27, but Eternal Sunshine is my testimony. My name in the book. I told you, I was so blown away that he took me to Daniel 12, 1 through 4 that we read in the other one. Eternal. I'm trying to go to it. some of them will be given eternal life. And I believe in Jesus Christ, okay? I'll never die while Jesus lives. Never. So maybe now some of y'all can relate to me even more. That was heavy on the sexual abuse. So I don't know who's gonna need that. But you ain't alone. And I love y'all. My next sit down video will probably be why I call the channel, or why I be like, hey party people. I was supposed to have been and did that, but I'm a little slow to move with some stuff. But the next round of sit down videos, I think y'all are going to appreciate. And I did have to get in the heart posture to where I wouldn't be like coming into the video trying to drag them. Like, can't do that. So it's always all love. And I just pray that like we all remember, like, you never know what people are going through, what they dealing with. You don't know what demons people are fighting. Okay. So I love y'all. I will see y'all. Look, I'm messing with the legs. I shouldn't have did that. I'll see y'all in the next few uploads, whether it's a sit down, whether it's a prophetic word. I'll see y'all.
Yeah.